Well, folks, these are the worst of times, possibly the end of times. Yeah. Poetry. The best poetry magazine ever was The Shop. Now defunct, so the best poetry magazine in the world is now Poetry Bus magazine. Move to Mama. Put that over there. But you know what's really good is Rattle, edited by Tim Green, who works harder than a coal miner but doesn't get as dirty. So I'm going to read some poems because fuck it. What's the choice? You can either read some poems or not read them. That's what it boils down to. Either you do something or you don't. The Shop. Padder O'Donoghue, don't know who he is. Jewel. Along Cable Street I stagger into Slattery's and stagger out again to be sure I have my wits. What the hell have they done? Is nothing sacred? Is anything safe from their Blandiose Renaissance? A curse on them, whoever they are. I barrel onto the quays, singing or talking to myself, corpulent with drink, and struggling to reinflate between bursts of song. Filled with stupid elation and fueled on pints of stout, I gaze wide-eyed and blowing at the new-found beauty of herself. Anna Liffey. Spanned by an arch the white a shade of pale, her waters are expressive, fecund and inviting. With undulating warm open arms of green, she calls to me in clamshells of desire. Wanting to be smothered within and bursting for a leak, I express myself. Let fly the floodgates. A stream of pea to the pea green below, relief and satisfaction in equal measure. They'll never take the piss out of Dublin. God bless you, The Shop. God rest your soul. We miss you like a loved relative. What next? PB. PB or not PB, that is the question. Whether it is... Mama me. This is a real going to town poem. Franlock. Reveille. In memory of Patrick Joseph O'Connor. It's not easy read Franlock poems. Only Franlock is officially designated capable of reading Franlock poems. So I do apologise in advancio. Come to, the wider world is strifing once again, now waking. Don our seminary woes, departing into streets made corvine with the curfew. Grief grows fungus over everything, the funerary affront, a mould that spreads like blame. How houses, catching drab from one another, pleat to crease to wreath to glove, the very spores of mourning. Spongy faces cluster in the sprouted dark, a jackdaw jarring dampened ground gulls, declaring spring as vehement as coroners. Come to, the poet's been pushing the obstacle, dark aside like moles, and the grin-soaked sock of civil smog, and still the twilight, whiling at us terrors, and still the dead unheroic, double-conted unanimously. I fucking see. I'm going to start again. Franloch Reveille, in memory of Patrick Joseph O'Connor. Come to. The wider world is striving once again, now waking. Don our seminary woes, departing into streets made corvine with the curfew. Grief grows fungus over everything. The funerary affront, a mould that spreads like blame. How houses, catching drab from one another, pleat to crease to wreath to glove. The berry spores of morning, spongy faces cluster in the sprouted dark. A jackdaw, jarring dampened ground, gulls declaring spring as vehement as coroners come to. The poet's been pushing the obstacle, dark aside like moles and a gin-soaked sock of civil smog, and still the twilight whiling at us terrors, and still the dead, unheroic, double-conted, unanimous flock to come to tease the eye apart with cold fresh water. The mouth is intercepted, steamed. Teach rage's rude arousal. Cockcrow's sorrow mongrel scream. Nobody should read Fran poems except Fran. The poem beside it is Claire Loder telling the bees. They say you can tell your secrets to bees, that they take each one by one, like tiny drops of pollen, dust them into the waiting arms of a petal, scatter them to the lees. I watch him there day after day, talking to the air. Wonder what it is he gifts to their wings, my eyes fixed to the meadow, afraid of the coming bloom. Puerto Rico, PB9, the COVID diaries.
Buy it! Get your money out and buy it now. Buy this book for the sake of poetry. Buy it now. I beseech you with all my heart to part with your money and buy this book. Buy this book or be damned.
Rattle me gargle me google de doody. This is Rattle 74. I really like Rattle. I want to have a poem in Rattle. I will never have a poem in Rattle. This is a poem called, and again I apologise because I can't read. I mean, I can barely read. I'm like Janet and John, book 3. I'm barely literate.
That's what I'm trying to say there now, so you know yourselves all together now. You understand now? I'm not the brightest. I'm keen and I'm eager, but I'm, inadequate in most ways. God bless you now, sir. I didn't go to university, I didn't even finish the Leaving cert, actually, because I was fucked up, I think is the clinical phrase they use nowadays, to explain me predicament.
This is Purgatorio by Zella Rivas. It goes like this. 2 girls sit in a room and talk about God. I'm one of the girls, you're the other. We don't love each other and we don't have a door. All we have are bruises and bleeding noses and broken ribs, because maybe we fought at the beginning a bit too much. But in hindsight, you shouldn't have called me a coward, and I shouldn't have called you all bravado. At least you stopped calling me a coward. At least my lip stopped bleeding an hour ago. You think you look tough. I think you look like I punched you, because that's what happened. Anyway, that was the beginning. Now we're talking about God. Praying tastes like blood, I tell you. No, you say. You're doing it wrong. Don't breathe while you do it, and it won't taste like anything. It's supposed to be something, yeah, not blood. So stop biting your lips or stop breathing. Your choice, sweetheart. I feel like there's a third option, but I don't say that. I wouldn't know what it is. Besides, you call me sweetheart. That isn't allowed. It goes like this. Two girls sit in a room with no door. Both of the girls are you this time. You don't call each other sweetheart because you call each other darling. You love yourself, so you love each other. There's a lot more fighting this time. Neither of you win. It goes like this. Two girls sit in a room and talk. I'm one of the girls. You're the other. We're the same girl. We don't love each other because we sort of hate each other, and we don't have a door. We still have bruises and bleeding noses and broken ribs because we fought in the beginning, and we're probably going to fight again because you still think I'm a coward and I still think you're all bravado. We have an understanding, we always have. We don't get along, but we need each other, like the paring knife needs fruit. I don't have any bravado and you don't have any fear. Except I do and you do, because we're the same girl, remember? We're talking because that's better than looking at one another. It gets worse at night, I tell you. But my clock is stuck at midnight. You don't offer to fix it because I didn't ask, and besides, you've never been very good at fixing anything. Let's talk about something else, you say, but I ignore you because I've never been very good at listening to you. It gets worse at night, I tell you, but I don't know what anything other than midnight looks like. You don't say it was never good in the day either. You don't say midnight and midday look the same on a clock. You don't say nothing ever matters because nothing ever changes. You don't say we're not getting anywhere, sweetheart. You don't say I need us to start getting somewhere and I hate you for not letting us. You want to say those things because you've never been good at fixing things, but you've always been good at breaking them. You don't say them because you're all bravado. I don't make you because I'm a coward. You don't have to because we're the same girl. We're in a room with no door and the clock is broken. And when we fight next time, I hope you win. I hope you win, but I'm not going to let you. That's Purgatorio by Zella Rivas. And her biographical note is, if I can find it, post-it note. Post-it notes are great for stuff. Zella Rivas. The poem is inspired by my experiences growing up and living with mental illness that is incurable and has never not been part of me. It is a difficult experience to describe, but poetry allows us to share experiences of the most inexplicable and human sort, even as it allows us the room to further understand ourselves, and it does so with beauty. Poetry is, to me, a beautiful and essential medium through which to participate in this world. I love that. And to finish off, some shite from myself. Post-it notes. If you want to note it or post it, get a post-it note. They're sticky and they're handy and they're blank. and a yellow and a orange and a blue and a pink and a grey, and you can write on them. Mon première collection de poétrie, il ou elle, je ne sais quoi, s'appelle Joël. Joël par Salmon Poetry. Discontinued, out of stock, disregarded, obsolete, archaïque, fucked. Peut-être non, je ne sais quoi. Je suis Brock, je suis Badger. Je ne sais très much at all because je suis un idiot. And this poem is called, how you say, Pictures et Postcards. Mountains to mist, Beckett to boxer to blonde, platinum of course, looking me straight in the eye over the slope of her shoulder. She says nothing and a million things. Not one can I catch as like the accusations I fly. I'm back on the midnight bus as it pulls out and pulls in passengers from the random roundabouts of my youth. Girlfriends dressed to kill, dying from the cold. Yards and years away are barges passing, coal-powered, just like the square panes of light from the Arndale block that lure people like moths. The bigger picture hints of a hunt of war of winter. Brothers in arms, their quarry sought, their silence confident, reflective, pleased with themselves and whatever they have done. I remember their faces peering in from the streets to the dreamy cafes. Stay a while, they seem to say. Drink your coffee. Compile this list for lesser days. That was the list, and these are the lesser days. Salut. Prost. Alain Prost. Didier Drogba. Eric Cantona. Slancher. Oof the mama. That's a going to town drink. God bless you, gentle women and men. May we rise again and meet again soon. May it not be the end of days, but in fact the beginning of them. The beginning of new days, with new ways and better things. Let us not despair, but rejoice in what we have. Let us not think about the things we no longer have, like heat and food, water, air. But let us not despair, let us think of what we do have. Debt, hunger, unhappiness, despair, ruin, loneliness, and rejoice in those things. And above all, my friends, right? Poetry.